So I'm going to make a lasagna. So I've got just some cheapy mincemeat. See, nothing special. Into the saucepan it goes. And guys, remember, always remove the paper. Okay, so there it is. Mincemeat in the pan. Stick that over there. Just going to wash my hands a minute because I've touched raw meat. So I'm just going to literally give my carrots a quick wash. So there's my 4 carrots. Nice big ones that I'm going to use in my lasagna. So I'm just going to give them a quick wash. So that's the meat in the saucepan. So I've got some carrots here. Just normal carrots. I like to cut the ends off. Like so. I peel my carrots like this. It's up to you how you peel them. You can use a potato peeler if you wish. I prefer to use a knife, but that's just me. Now I'm just going to chop my carrots. Easiest way is to chop them in half. And then chop them in half again, and then dice them. So you get your little squarey bits. It's going into a lasagna, so you want it to be quite small in the way of dicing. Now I use carrots and onions in my bolognese and in my lasagnas to bulk out the meat a bit, especially this evening because I am actually cooking for family tonight. So yes. Got extra people for tea tonight, and I'm hoping that there will be enough for us to have tea tomorrow night so I don't have to cook, but that's just wishful thinking. There we go, I've chopped all my carrots up into small little dices. It's about 4 carrots there. I know it looks a lot, but it's not, because it's going in with quite a lot of minced beef. And I'm just going to pop them into the saucepan. Now the onions. So I'm going to use, because these onions here are quite small, so I'm going to use about 4 onions. Let's get them all peeled. And again, because it's going into a lasagna, you want to dice your onions pretty small, if you can. Just dice them up into little cubes, just like you did with the carrots. So there's the onions, all diced up. That's about 4 onions there. Okay, I know that sounds a lot, but first of all, they were tiny little onions. Normally I would have used 2 large ones for this dish, but 4 little ones equals to 2 large ones. I'm just going to pop them into the saucepan with the mince and the carrots. just like that. And there you have it. Pop that onto the hob. Just washing my hands. I have onion juice on them. I wash my hands a lot while I'm cooking. An awful lot. And I don't mean just a quick and then done. I mean properly with soap. So always wash your hands as much as you can when you're cooking. So to fry the meat, I like to use coconut oil. That's what I like to use. Pure coconut oil. That's my personal preference. You can use any oil that you wish. You can use olive oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, any oil, or even just a knob of butter if you want. But I like coconut oil, so that's probably about 2 teaspoons there of coconut oil. Pop that one in. Make sure I get it all in. Just give it a good stir. Let that melt. The minute that you hear the sizzling, like you can hear in the video, that is when your pan is hot enough, and that is when you turn the heat down. So I've turned mine right down to a low temperature because I want this to be cooking while I'm doing other things for the lasagna. Right, I'm just going to wash my hands because I've got oil on them. So that's just going to lightly sizzle away. It's got a good bit of oil in it and it's on a low heat. And as long as you keep checking it, it won't burn. So I'm going to make the sauce to go in the bolognese for the lasagna. And it is slightly different to my spag bowl sauce. So that is why I'm showing you. But yeah, just chopped tomatoes. Doesn't have to be anything special. Just cheap, shop bought, chopped tomatoes. Now I know loads of people that just pour it straight into the saucepan. I don't like the lumps of chopped tomatoes, and neither do the children. So that's why we always opt to blend it into a smooth sauce. So I've got my little blender. You can use any blender. It doesn't have to be a handheld one. If you've got a really big one that you put things in, or a juicer, or anything that will blend it, you can use that if you wish. Or you can just put your chopped tomatoes straight into the saucepan. We're only doing it because we don't like the lumps, so, and the children won't eat it otherwise. So I'm just going to blend away. And there you have it, a nice little sauce. And that is ready to go in there once the meat's browned off. So that's before and after. And that is the roux all ready. And you can see how thick that is. Can you see how thick that is? Now I'm going to turn this roux into a cheese sauce because we like cheese sauce with our lasagna. So, and that's why I'm making this roux. So yeah, I'm going to pop that to one side, take it off the heat now because it's ready. And then I'll show you how to turn it into a cheese sauce in a bit. See, you can see there, it's it's all sizzling away really nicely. And it's all nice and golden brown. There we go. We are just going to add the chopped tomatoes that I blended up earlier. Just added that first bowl. And then I'm going to add the second. That's 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. In it goes. Make sure we scrape as much as we can in. And stir it. And just leave that on a low heat. Doesn't need to be on high heat, just a really low heat. Give it a good stir. And you end up with really nice, saucy bolognese. Okay, I'm just going to wash my hands because I've got tomatoes on them. So just to show you how nice that's looking. Get those bits in. See how nice and saucy that is, with no real big lumps. And that is how we like it. That's how we like it. But like I say earlier, it's up to you. You can just put the whole chopped thingy in if you want. But we like it lump free. We like it like a sauce. There we go. So now to flavour the bolognese. For the lasagna, I like oregano. You see oregano? And I like to put about 2 teaspoons of oregano in. We love oregano. And I've got some rosemary. Just take the tab off. So I've got some rosemary there. I'd just like to put a little bit of a sprinkle in, so probably about half to 1 teaspoon's worth of rosemary. Basil. We love basil, so about a good heaped teaspoon of basil. And some thyme. Probably about 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Only a tiny bit. And we quite like our onions in this house. So onion granules. About 2 heaped teaspoons of the onion granules. So. And then I like to put a little bit of black pepper in. So probably about half a teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Or you can use normal pepper. We just prefer cracked black. Again, we like our garlic. So garlic granules. Probably about 2 teaspoons. And then I like to put a bit of soy sauce in. Probably about a teaspoon of soy sauce. It's probably a bit more than a teaspoon, but never mind, it doesn't matter. And I like to use a little bit of freshly ground rock salt. Not too much, we don't like too much salt in our cooking. So probably about half a teaspoon, if that. Literally just a couple of grinds of salt, that's all we like to use. And then we just give that a really good stir. So. Now, the same as my bolognese, I like to use some honey, just to sweeten the chopped tomatoes. So I like to put about 2 tablespoons of honey in, 2 heaped tablespoons of honey into the lasagna. like so. And another one, like so. And then that just flavours it. And it just takes away any bitterness that the chopped tomatoes have in them. It just slightly sweetens it a little bit. Give it a good stir. Now, as I said earlier, I'm going to turn that roux that I've made into a cheese sauce. So I'm just going to literally grate some cheese. Now, I don't make my cheese sauce for my lasagna too overpowering. We like a weak, creamy cheese sauce rather than a strong one. I do make really strong cheddar cheese sauce for cauliflower cheese and macaroni cheese, and I'll show you a video on that a different time. So literally it's just a very mild creamy sauce with a hint of cheese to go on top of the lasagna. That's all it is, a bit of flavouring. So there we go, grated cheese and my roux that I made earlier. Just gonna pop that one into there, like that. Pop that over there. Give it a bit of a stir. And you can see all those lumps there, by the way, is cheese. Now I'm going to put a tiny bit of onion powder in with that. Probably about 1/4 teaspoon, if that. Literally just a little sprinkle, like so. And then I'm going to put a tiny little sprinkle of garlic granules in. Again, just a tiny little sprinkle, 1/4 teaspoon, if that, like that. And then I'm just going to put a teeny weeny bit of honey in it. A little sprinkling of honey, about a teaspoon of honey. Give it a little bit of a stir. Like that. And we're just going to put a tiny bit of salt. Tiny little bit of rock salt. Just a couple of grates. Nothing like that. Just so I add a little bit of flavour. So you're ready to put the lasagna together now. Put it in the oven. So I've got a tray here. I'm going to try and make 2 large trays if I can. But if not, hey ho. So I always find with lasagna, 1 of 2 things normally happens. Now, either you don't cook it long enough and your pasta sheets end up not cooking properly, or you cook it to the pasta sheets are lovely and soft and the bottom's very dry because the bottom is directly onto the dish, and the dish obviously gets really hot in the oven. So what I do is I put a little bit of water in the bottom and I just make the bottom bit a bit more runny and a bit more saucy, and then it doesn't dry out, it doesn't burn, nothing like that. So got my bolognese there, and I'll just put a couple in. Like I say, you just want it really runny. See, you want it a bit more like that. A little bit more in, like so. Lasagna sheets. Am I going to fit? No, of course not. That one goes in there. So bolognese, bit of a watery bolognese. Lasagna sheets, a bit more bolognese. Just I put about 3 of these in between each sheet. If it needs a little bit more, then I'll put a little bit more in. Like this needs a little bit more here. There we go. You just want the sheets all nice and well covered. See? And then again. And lasagna is one of those things. It depends on how many layers you want. I normally do about 3 layers. I like to do about 3 layers. That's me. So I've got one at the bottom, lasagna sheet, another layer, lasagna sheet, another layer, top layer. That's how I like to do mine. If you want to do 10 layers, do 10 layers. If you want to do 3 layers, do 3 layers. If you want to just do 2 layers, do 2 layers. It's up to you. No recipe on this planet is something that you have to stick to, you know, religiously. You can change recipes. You can tweak them to your liking. You don't have to have the exact same recipe. If you do it slightly different, brilliant, fantastic. So there we go. That's the lasagna sheets in. Just gonna put it in. Right, so I've got my roux here, and I'm just going to pour a little bit on. See? So because I'm trying to make 2 lasagnas, I'm going to pour half and half in. And it's just like the layers of bolognese. You just want to cover the pasta. Just want to cover the pasta sheets, move it all over. Because like I say, you're going to put cheese sauce on it anyway. Cheese sauce. Like I say, you're going to put cheese on it anyway. Just a little bit more there. Don't want to be seeing any of the lasagna sheets really. That will do. And there you go. That's how you want to cover it. I did it. Managed to make 2 trays of lasagna, so I'm a happy bunny. When I put my lasagna in the oven, I like it to cook as quickly as I can, but as nicely as it can. So I always put tin foil on it, and I always use the shiny side down. You just put it over the tray like that. So here it goes into the oven. So both lasagnas are in the oven, tin foil over the top, 180 degrees, leave it for about half an hour, and then I'll take them out, put some grated cheese on, put them back in for half an hour. Ideal. And there we go, one beautifully made lasagna. All sizzling away nicely. Yummy. Nice. And there we go, beautiful dinner. Homemade lasagna, pea sweet corn salad, homemade garlic bread, homemade wedges. The whole meal is homemade. And if you want the recipes for the other sides, for the other bits, Please like, subscribe and follow.